Before we go on with the main topic of this video, I just want to congratulate the Toronto Raptors, your 2019 NBA champions. I never thought I'd say the words Raptors and an NBA championship in the same sentence, but here we are. But now that we got that out of the way, we are finally here to the part of the year that many people have been looking forward to, the 2019 NBA offseason, which is poised to be the craziest offseason in league history with so many key players in the market. And with that being said, the league is bound to change. So what I want to do in this video is talk about my predictions on how everything will play out when it's all said and done when it comes to the biggest free agents of the summer. I'm sorry I won't have time to predict players like DeAndre Jordan and their free agency destinations, but just a heads up, these are going to be the names we'll cover today. I think there's so many ripple effect things that can go on this offseason that everyone's predictions won't be the same whatsoever. But without further ado, let's start off with what many people think is the key to this year's offseason and the player whose everyone's moves will follow, Kyrie Irving. So Kyrie's free agency since the Celtics season ended has probably been the most leaked out of everyone's, largely due to everyone else still being in the playoffs. Combined with all of the Celtics controversy from the season, this was bound to happen. And the team that's been linked to Kyrie the most has been the Brooklyn Nets. And looking at the fit, I do think it is the best fit for Kyrie's needs. I am coming from the belief that Kyrie does still want to lead his own team and be considered a leader. However, he doesn't think that Boston is the right team for him because there's just too many needs to fill. The development of Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum as future franchise players, proving to people that the Hayward signing wasn't a mistake. There's just too many players that believe that they deserve touches and have really solid arguments as to why they should believe that. But in Brooklyn, that's not going to be a problem. Everyone knows their role and accepts it. Kyrie will be viewed as the undisputed leader of the team. Brooklyn is still a very big market, and I just think from a basketball point of view and an environmental point of view, this is a perfect fit for Kyrie, and all of the signs are pointing to him signing with the Nets, and that is where I have him going. Next up, we have arguably the biggest free agent of the summer, Kevin Durant. Now, KD's summer was already expected to be crazy, but it got even crazier after he tore his Achilles in Game 5 of the Finals, an injury that will sideline him for most of the 2020 season, and an injury that may change his career forever. And what this does is make things complicated for KD in the offseason, as one, teams that may have been interested in him might be reluctant to give him a full max deal, as teams such as the Knicks want to sign 2 max free agents at the same time, and knowing that KD will be sidelined for a year and may not be the same again might deter other free agents from wasting a year of their primes and join KD on, let's say, the Knicks. And 2, KD will be less willing to sign a max deal himself, knowing that his injury will deter some free agents from coming to his team, and because of that, it'll be easier for both teams to make a plan for their future after knowing how KD is after he's recovered. So personally, I think the most likely scenario that happens here is KD opts into his player option, takes the full year to recover with a medical staff that he's familiar with, and surveys the NBA landscape again in the 2020 offseason, as there's just too much uncertainty right now because of his injury. I think some people have forgotten that Kawhi is indeed a free agent this summer, and rightfully so, because Kawhi has done a tremendous job of focusing on the playoffs and not letting anything get in the way of team success. But regardless, now that the season is over, Kawhi has to come back from the reality that he is a free agent this summer and has the power to go to any team he wants. Now, the biggest thing that would deter Kawhi from Toronto is the fact that Kyle Lowry is 32, and that Danny Green is 31, and Marc Gasol is 34. That's 3 of the team starters that are over 30 and will probably have 2 to 3 years of good basketball left. For Gasol, probably only 1 to 2. However, at the same time, players such as Fred VanVleet and Pascal Siakam have proven to be potential cornerstones for the franchise that are both under 25, and Nick Nurse has proven to be an excellent championship-level coach. Now, Kawhi's name has been linked to the Clippers a lot, but in all honesty, their situation is pretty similar as well. The only key players that they have that are under 25 are Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Montrezl Harrell, and Landry Shamet. Everyone else is roughly 30 and above. Now the Clippers do have the luxury of adding another free agent on top of Kawhi, which is a big factor, but push comes to shove, I think the Raptors have wooed Kawhi enough to stay by winning a championship, surrounding him with top tier talent from top to bottom, and being a big enough market for him to make a name for himself, which he definitely did this year. Now this part of the free agency is where I think it really gets crazy. Up to this point, we're assuming that Kyrie is in Brooklyn and wants to be the leader of that team. We're also assuming that KD will opt into Golden State and will rehab for the 2020 season and survey the landscape after. And we're also assuming that Kawhi has been wooed enough by Toronto to stay there. But another assumption that I was gonna make was the Lakers landing AD, and as we all know, that actually happened. So now we have the Brow and LeBron in LA with still an open max slot. Now ideally, I feel like they would have wanted Kyrie here, but again, I do still think Kyrie wants to lead a team and proves the leadership, or they would have wanted Klay Thompson here, and honestly, if he didn't suffer the ACL injury that he did, I do believe he would have been a Laker and it would have been a perfect fit for this team. However, I don't think the Lakers are going to be willing to waste a free agent slot on a player that will be out for a year and waste a year of LeBron's prime. So enter Jimmy Butler. Jimmy's name has been linked to LA in general and LeBron for a minute now, and I do believe he would be a good fit for this team as a third option. There has been a debate on whether or not the Lakers should use this money on another star like Jimmy Butler or on depth since they lost so much of it, but like I said on Twitter, many people believe that they should use it on depth. But if we're keeping it a buck, it's the Los Angeles Lakers. They're probably not going to, and that is why I still have them going after a player like Jimmy Butler. It was tough to see Klay go down after having a magnificent Game 6. It really was. If they ended up winning, he had a strong chance of being Finals MVP. Now we're not sure how he'll ever recover from the injury, and he will most likely be sidelined for the 2020 season. Like with KD, his injury does have a huge impact on his free agency, and because the Warriors have to deal with both Klay and KD's injury, I think they'll end up letting go of Klay to give them more flexibility this offseason and for years to come, because if they sign Klay this offseason knowing his injury, they would essentially be wasting a year of Curry's prime with the squad that they finished the finals with, which I don't think they're willing to do. So now we have to look for a team that's going to be willing to wait a year for Klay's services. I don't think the Knicks will be willing to do that despite them missing out on KD and Kyrie at this point in the video. The Lakers, like I mentioned, don't want to waste a year of LeBron's prime. The Nets, I think, would consider it but would rather not. However, enter the Los Angeles Clippers, who I think are willing to waste money on Klay Thompson for a year. I think this team, considering that they've now missed out on Kawhi and KD, will be willing to either go for Jimmy Butler this year or retool their roster with a bunch of short-term contracts, try to make the playoffs again to build a stronger culture, sign Klay Thompson to secure him long-term, and use all of that to entice KD to come in 2020 when he enters free agency once again. I've been looking around the internet to find some news on Tobias' free agency, and there have been a lot of sources pointing to him going to Brooklyn, which is a large reason as well as to why I think Kyrie will end up joining Brooklyn as the leader of that team, knowing that they were already pretty good without him, and that Tobias Harris will come as a second option, which is a good second option that will accept that role alongside him. But there really isn't much to it. I just think Tobias will join Brooklyn as Kyrie's second option. I think when we look back, Boogie didn't really benefit much from being in Golden State. I believe he would have been better recovering on a bad team and putting up bigger numbers than doing what he did, since they didn't even end up winning a championship, and he was being benched because of how bad of a defender he was. I don't think that teams will be willing to offer him the contract that he'll be looking for because of it. However, because of KD and Klay's injury once again, I do think the Warriors will consider offering Boogie a fair 2 to 3 year contract and will take the chance of him improving next year and essentially be the second option of the team alongside Stephen Curry. This could be a very good way for them to retool for the team next year and not waste the year of Curry's prime, considering all of the injuries they suffered. Now, Kemba is a player who could be a good fit in LA as sort of a pseudo replacement for what they wanted Kyrie to be. Or he could go to New York and be their franchise player there. But from all the reports I've been hearing, he seems hell-bent on staying in Charlotte and making it work there because he just loves the city and the team so much. So as much as I want him to go to New York and LA and go to another team where his talents won't be wasted and he'll have a chance to win a championship, I do still have Kemba staying in Charlotte. I think Vucevic is in this position where everyone will wait on the bigger free agents to make their moves before even taking a look at him. At least, according to my predictions. And according to my predictions, the Knicks would have missed out on everyone. And I do think they'll be desperate enough to throw money at Vucevic and other free agents in hopes to just at least make the playoffs next year. I'm gonna be honest, I really thought Brooklyn was finally D'Lo's home. I just thought it was and still is a perfect fit for him, and he really was instrumental to their success. But it's not the first time a team has chosen to go for a more talented player over the player that was instrumental to building their culture, particularly when it comes to Kyrie Irving. So that means if Kyrie does sign, which I have him doing, D'Lo will in all likelihood get the boot. Now there have been a couple sign and trade scenarios I've seen floating around where he ends up going to Boston, and as a Celtics fan, I would love to see that happen. But I don't know, just a gut feeling, I just don't see it happening. However, what I do see happening are the New York Knicks, and them coming to the conclusion that their magical super team forming summer was a failure, and they look ahead to the future and build young with their number 3 pick still on their side, and I think they'll be willing to offer D'Lo max money in order to build around him, presumably RJ Barrett and Kevin Knox, which is not a bad young core whatsoever. But with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, my complete free agency predictions before they actually start, even though they pretty much started with the whole AD trade and stuff. Now I know it'll most likely not end up like this, just based on probability and the absolute fact that I can't see the future, and the absolute fact that I don't have any NBA insider information, but this is what I have, and I think considering everything, I think it's pretty good. Just some notes to pick up, I do see the Knicks missing out on pretty much everyone they hope for this summer. The 76ers will lose both Jimmy Butler and Tobias Harris, and the Warriors will never be the same again. But with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know your off-season predictions in the comment section down below, and I'm out. Peace.